the great tribulation rapture. What does it mean? Giving all praises to Yahweh Hashem Shai by Hashem Kakwadash. And this is a question put up by ETT End Time, which means End Time Teachers, to a video that Apostle Gabar put up entitled The Great Gathering of the Elect. We stand by faith. And this was put up today, which is September 14th, 2021, the year of the hastening of the coming of Yahweh Hashem Shai. So I'll read the comment put up by ETT. Shalom, Elder Apostle. Can you do a video disproving the pre-tribulation rapture? Well, that's easy because we know that there's no pre-tribulation rapture, that Christianity nonsense. And one of the scriptures that they use is Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. I believe you can start from the 24th verse. And it speaks about 7 years, and in the middle of that year, 3.5 weeks. They say it's talking about, that's when the rapture comes before the tribulation, and the tribulation will be the ones that are left behind, which if they understood the scriptures and they understood prophecy, they would know that Daniel the 9th chapter took place already. The prophecy in Daniel the 9th chapter is in the past. It's something that happened, well, we can say thousands of years ago. It happened going back a couple thousand years ago. That was during the time period of Yahweh Shai being on the scene, him dying on the cross and being risen back up and going into glory, into heaven, sitting on the right-hand side of the Father. And it's also talking about the time period of 70 AD. That was a time of tribulation. But there's no pre-tribulation raptures where the believers, the Christians, will just be beamed up and people will look up, what the hell's going on? People just flew up into the sky. Then for 7 years, 3.5 years, and then another 3.5 years, all hell breaks loose. The Christians don't understand the Bible. The Christians do not understand the Bible. They don't know the scriptures. Ye err not knowing the scriptures. And especially when it comes to prophecies. So anyway, what I did was I put in the word tribulation in the blue letter, and it occurs 22 times in 22 verses in the KJV. It appears 1, 2, 3. It appears 3 times in the Old Testament, in the book of Deuteronomy 4, verse 30, Judges 10, verse 14, 1 Samuel 26, verse 24, and then it jumps to Matthew 13, verse 21, and the last time it's mentioned in the scriptures is Revelation 7 and 14. So we're going to go through a couple of these scriptures. We're going to go through the New Testament scriptures. And I didn't, put any precepts together. I'm just going in the spirit, and we'll see how long this goes. Plus, I wanted to put up a lesson. Anyway, it says the scriptures, the answer to everything is in the scriptures. Who is the Antichrist? What is the Antichrist? The mark of the beast. It's all mentioned in the scriptures, and you have to understand precepts to understand other precepts, and the Spirit has to be working with you. That's what the Holy the Comforter is all about. The Comforter wasn't no big fat black man who's now dead. That's not the Comforter. The Comforter is not a man. The Comforter is the Spirit that comes with the Bible. We used to say that the Comforter is the Bible, but it's deeper than the Bible, because a person, let's say the mind of God, he has a Bible, he reads the Bible, but the Spirit ain't working with him at all. That's why I told him to fly a kite. He asked me a question on one video, and I read his question. I forget what it was. It wasn't important, because he's not important. He's just a heathen. And I told him, go fly a kite. Anyway, let's just go through these precepts. Matthew 13, verse 21. Yet have he not root. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. Now, what is this talking about? You got to go up really to the first verse of Matthew 13. You have people that come in different stages, or you have different category of believers. You have people that come in and they fall out. You know, the people that come in and fall out quickly. There's other people that stay for a while. They might be in this, they might do a hard 10 years, 20 years, and fall out. So this is what the 21st verse is talking about. It says, Matthew 13, verse 21, yet hath he not root in himself. Because you got a lot of people that come into this truth, into this circle, but they're not rooted. They're not diligent. Give diligence to make that calling and election sure, and that ye also show the same diligence. So you got individuals that come into this thing on fire. You got individuals that come into this thing sort of half-ass. And then you just got guys that are just weak. They just can't get it. They can't grow. And we see that. We've been seeing that. I've been seeing that. I myself been seeing that for the 30 plus years that I've been in the truth. Guys that are in this thing, they might do a solid 10 years, and you talk to them, and if you didn't know he was in this truth for 10 years, you think he just came in the truth 2 months ago. You're supposed to grow in this thing. Desiring the sincere milk, in which you are to grow thereby. I'm merely paraphrasing what Peter said. And the ones of you that can't grow, that don't grow in this thing, eventually you're going to walk off, you're going to leave, you're going to get kicked out, then you're going to get offended, or you're going to get offended, and then you're going to leave. Or some women will come into your life, or some job that you like. You know, you're afraid for the boss to see you, and you don't go out. And the scriptures speak about, and with one consent, they begin to make excuses. See, now we're at a time where you can't make no more excuses, because now what they're presenting to you is this thing. So how far are you willing to go in order for you not to take that thing? Because I had several people in person come up to me and on the counter board saying, well, I got a good job. It's hard to get another job that's going to pay me and have the benefits that this job has, but I have to take the thing. Well, guess what? You take the thing, you're going to take the other thing, and you're going to get smoked. Real talk. I always quote or go to Revelation 3 verse 10. Read that. Read that every day. You know, when your boss gives you an ultimatum, you got until the end of the month to decide what you're going to do. Read that scripture. Revelation 3 verse 10. So now let's read this again. Matthew 13 verse 21. Yet hath he not root in himself. The ones that's going to fall out and take the jab and then take the charagma are the ones that are not rooted. The ones that don't have a mindset of he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Ephesians 6. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. Now I remember we got arrested. We got arrested on different occasions. And the one time I got arrested with a bunch of other brothers, and maybe a couple of years or a year before that, another party camp got arrested. So we were getting arrested, more than once. So when myself got arrested with the rest of the men, there was one guy, I'm not going to mention his name, you don't know him anyway. I don't know if he was down there or he didn't make it because he had to work. And we were in there for almost a week. We had to get bailed out and we had to go back and forth to court. But the Most High was with us. And when we went before the judge, for, arraignment and what the plea that we're going to make, being indicted, we had top lawyers because we had felonies. And we had these top New York TV lawyers, And there was one Jake, the rest of them were Edomite men, and there was one Edomite woman. And the Edomite woman, she was on fire. Anyway, they mentioned, we all know who these people are. These are the Hebrew Israelites. That's what they mentioned. So the judge knew it, the whole court knew it, that the Israelites are on trial. So the whole court knew it, the judge knew it. So the judge knew who he was dealing with. We wasn't just no Negroes on the street. Anyway, the Most High delivered us from that, but there was a brother, well, it shook up everybody. I tell you this story, it shook up everybody except myself, because I said, as soon as I get out, I go out on the highways and the byways, I'm going to curse these devils out. You know how you meditate in your mind? And pretty much everybody else said, no, we ain't going out no more. And I had to curse them all out. I had to go into the scriptures and curse them the hell out. And get their spirit back. And this was a number of years before YouTube came on the scene. So that was a time of trial and tribulation. But the one guy, he looked at me, he was in my house, and he said, where in the scriptures did the apostles or the prophets ever get arrested? And I'm like, what? I looked at him like, what? And he'd been in this thing for a while. There's all kinds of scriptures about Paul being locked up, about Peter being locked up, about the prophets. Jeremiah was almost put to death by the Israelites. The Lord said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, those that killeth the prophets. And the Lord got locked up. So I kind of looked at him. I said, wait a minute. What? I said, you forgot all those scriptures went out the window with you? And I pulled out a couple of scriptures. I might have quoted a couple of scriptures. Then he saw it. And I looked in his eye. He had that look in his eye. I said, man, this guy's not going to last long. I guess he lasted another year or two. His father was in it. And his father was a flake. You know, he got kicked out, and he eventually went into the spirit world. And his son, you know, he just went about his business. Now, brothers have ran into him and, you know, saluted him and all that, you know, because we know him. But he never came back into the fold. He was never part of the fold again because he really wasn't grounded, even though he was in this thing for a number of years. So that was a time of tribulation. It says, so let's go back to Matthew 13, verse 21. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth, you know, dureth meaning to be strong, to hold your ground, so to speak, which goes back to the word root, grounded, for a while, whether it be a year, 5 years, 10 years. For when tribulation, and that was tribulation in general, tribulation. Let me look up the word tribulation. Tribulation.
Strong's G 2347. Thlipsis. Thlipsis.
Thlipsis, which means a pressing together. Pressure, metaphorically, oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress, straits. For straight is the gateway, and narrow is the way to salvation. Let's look up that word straight. As I have said recently, you ones that come to be entertained, this is not for you. Okay, the word straits come up 2 times in the Old Testament. Job 20, verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Straits meaning hard time, to be pressed upon. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And that word wicked is the word, I can look it up, but I'm not. I'm going to look it up. It means laborer. I. So every hand of the wicked shall come against him is talking about the laborers. You can also go to James 5. Laborer, sufferer, wretched one. That's us. Laborer, workman, sufferer. So we as a people have suffered slavery. And Esau, the Edomite, he's the next to suffer great slavery, great affliction. Lamentation 1 verse 3, Judah is going into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. That's us, man. That's us. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits, meaning hard times. They took us when the Most High took our power. Matthew 24, verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, which we're in the tribulation right now as we speak, but it's going to magnify. The Most High is going to turn the faucet up. And he's working through Esau, the power structure of Esau. Because now they want you to take that thing. So they're going to make your life hard. If you don't take this thing, you can't go to the restaurant. You can't go to the gym. You can't go to a theater. Or you can't get on a plane. You can't get on a bus. You can't get on a train. And what we're finding out is there's a lot of people that don't want to take that. A lot of people don't know why they don't want to take it, but they said there's something about that thing I'm not going to deal with. You have doctors, which they don't put out on the mainstream media. You have doctors and nurses that I didn't personally know a nurse that said I ain't taking it. I figured she done took it. She said, I ain't taking it. So how are you to work? They said they test me every week or a couple of times a week. You know, they pop her a couple of times. Inside joke. So let's read that again. Matthew 24, verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So what is that talking about? That's talking about the time of Jacob's trouble. And there's only one time of Jacob's trouble. You're going to have tribulation in the world, but there's only one Jacob's trouble. And Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, tells you that. Let's jump down to the 29th verse. Now you can keep reading from the 21st verse to the 29th verse. I'm just going to jump to the 29th verse. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign. Wait a minute, let me come back to 29. The 29th verse, 24, 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. So let's say that this is the so-called Great Tribulation. Right? Now, aren't these Christians, the body of believers, supposed to be delivered before that? Well, let's read the 30th verse. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. That's the body of believers. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Meaning from one end of the earth from the east to the west. It says what? It says immediately after the tribulation. Because what's going to end the tribulation is when the Lord comes back, is when the missiles hit. And that's when the elect, the true believers, will be lifted up. So if these dumbass Christians actually read the scriptures, they would have an understanding. Mark 13, verse 24. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And as you read on, it says, and they shall be gathered, the elect from the four quarters, or from the four quarters of the earth. St. John 16:33. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation. Now tribulation meaning what? Hard times. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get beaten, pursuant to Acts, the 5th chapter. But be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. Acts 14:22, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. What was the first scripture that we read? Matthew 13. Some of them fell off because they wasn't rooted and grounded. It said continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of heaven. And tribulation is in general. Romans 2 verse 9, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jews first and also of the Gentiles. And that tribulation is going to come by way of who? The Romans. Romans 5 verse 3, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, tribulations with an S, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. Romans 8 verse 35, who shall separate us from the love of the Most High? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Nothing. Nothing. What does Revelation 2:10 say? Read that. Romans 12 and 12. Rejoice in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant meaning ready in prayer. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4. Whoso comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of the Most High. Second Thessalonians 1 verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So all these people, the spies, all these people that came up against us, the Most High is going to destroy every last one of them publicly. Revelation 1 verse 9. I, John, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation. The fact that we're in this condition that we're in today is tribulation, because we're not in glory, we're not in the kingdom. And in the kingdom and patience of Yahushua HaMashiach was in the isles that is called Patmos, for the word of the Most High and for the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. So who is he talking to? He's talking to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. Revelation 2 verse 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. 10th verse, same chapter. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with this the jab thing. We don't, because did not the current President Biden say our patience is wearing thin? What's happening over there in Australia and different parts of the world, in Israel? They're mandating it, and you know the vice is closing in, getting tighter. Like I said, you go down to New York City, Manhattan. There's signs up where you say if you ain't got the vaccination, You're not welcome. So people will learn to live with it. They'll say, no, we'll go to someplace else. We'll go uptown. We'll go downtown. We'll go to Staten Island. We'll go to upstate, wherever. And then they're going to tighten the grip even further. So that's another form of tribulation. Revelation 2:10, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation, not the great tribulation, but a hard time. 10 days for a certain number of time. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So the ones of you that take that jab, you're going to take that charagma. Jumping down to the 22nd verse, Revelation 2, verse 22. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. Revelation 7, verse 14. And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation. In other words, the Jacob's trouble. Because our deliverance is going to come in the midst of Jacob's trouble, pursuant to Daniel, the 12th chapter. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So, like I said, and I'm going to close, the word tribulation just means hard time. The great tribulation, if you will, is the time of Jacob's trouble, which is only going to happen one time. It's going to happen in our lifetime. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say